We are going to war with the narcissist. And that is what this is all about tonight. Let's see if I can close that up just a little bit. Get a little bit more of this and that. Should I change the lighting? Should I change the lighting? I think I should. This is how real studio stuff is done. The talent. Okay. Let's call this Brethren. We're going to talk about some deep stuff here tonight, guys. And my friend wanted me to call him, so I'm giving him a call before we get going on this. And I got to press record because I forgot last time. By the way, wake up. By the way, this coffee mug was given to me by Josh Davis, who is an awesome person. He wrote a book on finding a family law attorney. The link is in my YouTube profile. And if you're watching this on TikTok, you can watch this on YouTube as well. TikTok people, welcome. You guys are a great, loyal fan base. And I'm going to do one last thing here and send out my man, how do I do that? How do you send out your freaking link to this? Anyway, TikTok dudes, you're going to love this. If you want any of the stuff that's on this, you can watch it on the replay on YouTube because that's where it will live. And thankfully, my YouTube, there were some issues with it. And basically, man, I can't type and do this at the same time. But I went and deleted a bunch of old videos, or didn't delete, but I hid a bunch of old YouTube videos and they flagged my account. Like I'm getting rid of these YouTube videos. And they flagged me because they had like a bad, I don't know, they went against their policy and probably did, right? Rightfully so. They were like from over 10 years ago. And so as I got rid of them, they were like, dude, what are you doing? And I got like 10 warnings in one day. And they're like, this isn't a strike, but next time it will be. So thankfully I don't have any of those. And I don't know. Let's get this party started, people. We're rocking and rolling. This is going to be a really good presentation. Let me just send out this email to my email list. If you are not on this email list, you should get on it. You can go off the live stream right now and get on my email list. It is one of the best free tools for all of this. Everything that you can imagine about custody. And man, there's just so much stuff to cover here. So let's get started, party people. Let me just make sure everything is being emailed out. You know, I'm going to post this also on my message board. Sorry to you guys that are in my groups. We're not going to do a Zoom live stream tonight. Actually, I like it when my groups can interact. But right now we're just doing in questions because what I have to do is I have to leave right after this. And I can't be a part of all the cool stuff. So let's get started. You guys ready? You ready? You ready, TikTok? You ready, YouTube? You ready, Steve? I think I'm ready. Okay, what are we doing here? Boom, 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 boom. I got lots of notes. We got 10 sections, actually 12, but officially only 10 and then 2 kind of add-ons. All right. This is it. Custody warfare on defeating the narcissist. So a narcissist's worst enemy is going to be a man who knows the law and can control their emotions. If you're a woman watching this, you're welcome to watch it. I hope you can take the tactics from this and use it in your situation. I don't want narcissistic abuse to affect anybody, but this is going to be a framework to win legally, shrewdly. We're going to cover the legal process on how to defeat somebody who has NPD, BPD, who is borderline, who has toxic behaviors and is attacking you in the court, in a family law custody case. This is going to be stuff that comes from my groups. We're going to cover it in legal precision. We're going to cover it in what you need to do psychologically and how they're going to be affected psychologically. And this is going to be a step-by-step guide. Please notate everything. Please understand that this is very difficult. This comes from a lot of experience within my groups. And if you're in this situation, you have to go back and review what is said in here. You have to get it right. Do not just watch this and think you got it. All right? So what we're going to show you here is how to win against a narcissist in a custody battle. It's not by emotion. It's not going to be by fairness. It's not going to be by so many of the things that we assume works in our family law. It's going to be by precision and following a very specific legal strategy. And most men lose because they are reacting to a narcissist that they were in a relationship with. And she trained you, you were chosen, your already pre-existing traits of goodness, kindness, moral judgment, hard work, loyalty are all things that she will use to exploit. So you have to understand that your reactions, your instinct, every instinct that you have in this is going to be wrong. It's going to affect you. It's going to work against you, okay? So what she is going to typically do in a custody battle is you're going to be baited, right? You're going to be provoked in some way. You're going to react. That reaction to her lie that follows a pattern, her lie about you, is going to basically get you screwed and on your back foot in a custody case. And the consequences are massive. And we'll get to this because with men and women, they're attacked in the same way, humiliated. A female narcissist, male narcissist, they're going to lie. They're going to make up stories about you. They're going to attack you in all the secrets that you shared together and use that to exploit you. They're going to triangulate all those things. But the result of the attack is much worse. And so when a man is on his back foot in a custody case, it's always bad for men or women, but it could end him up in jail. It could end him up severely disadvantaged because oftentimes our culture sees men as predators, extra violent, people who have sexual issues. And within all of this, what we have to understand is that in her game plan that gets immediate green lights in the court system, it also leaves a trail of many, many problems. Okay, so with some people, she's going to need to be the authority. Okay, the narcissist has got to be on top with some people. But with other people, the narcissist is going to wear a different mask and they're going to be the victim. All right, and they're going to have people feel sorry for them. There's always something wrong. And with other people, she's going to seduce them. Okay, and the main thing here is the goal of the narcissist is to dominate the weak. Now, you were always on the narcissist side. You were always, up until now, she was never attacking you. This is why it's so difficult. You're always a part of her inner circle. You were always one of her biggest fans. You were the hero enabler of her group of yes men, of all these different people in her life. You were probably the main person, but now for some reason she's attacking you. And this is part of your sickness. All right, so you were programmed to be this. This is what's always worked. You could always reason. You could always save her. She could always save you. You could always build all these jealousy lines and coming back together, makeup, breakup. But now it's not happening. And part of it is because she has escalated into a manic state and she's not going to stop for a while. Okay, so you can't out-feel her. You can't be louder than her. Right? You need to learn to out-structure her within the courts. And you might be thinking, I'm not going to do that because the courts have already screwed me. I'm a guy. I've watched a litany of men's videos on how men get screwed in court, and I'm convinced of it. I followed a dad's whole story on how he gave up custody because the courts weren't fair. This is not true. You can win. We're going to show you how to do it. All right. And even if you're starting in a place where you are absolutely screwed, this is really your only option. It's your only option to fight in this way. Okay. So NPD is your starting place. Narcissistic personality disorder is your starting place. Maybe it's borderline, but this is just a label. All right. What is going to matter in this presentation is that you learn how you can find out her pattern. Okay. Find out their pattern, find out how it works within the legal system, and then we're going to use that to just dominate. It's going to be awesome. So study this, take notes, build your system. You need to learn how to stay calm. You need to learn a lot about the process. It's not easy. You need to learn to stop reacting, and so that you can win. This has got 10 parts to it. If you're watching this on the YouTube replay, look at the chapters down below. Review them. Don't just watch them once and think you got it. This comes from a lot of experience, and I know it takes a lot to really get. Okay, short legal disclaimer in this, which I'm going to talk about numerous times within this. This is not legal advice. Okay, watching people online just literally can't give you legal advice. All I can do is tell you my experience in having the longest running group of men that have fought high conflict custody battles, that has the highest density of men who have won high conflict custody battles, really impossible battles that are oftentimes against somebody who is mentally ill. This could be NPD, BPD, something undiagnosed, but a toxic person, and the patterns that happen. This is what we did to win. There was a lot of sacrifice in this for 20 years or almost 20 years of having that group. Okay. There are a lot of guys who lost. I won. Many guys have that same story within it. And now we know how to win. This is built from fathers. Some of them were actually lawyers, but in our group, that's not the thing. You're a father first, because lawyers have a lot of trouble in fighting battles with their exes, man. I can attest to that. And there's actually plenty. It's actually kind of an interesting little caveat. There are many, many, many men who have gone through our group who have fought their ex, who is a lawyer, and destroyed them. And the reason for that is a lawyer is going to get a lot of things wrong. They're overly confident. They can't see the forest through the trees. And this is one of the biggest pitfalls. This is one of the biggest notes I would say to you of why you need to study this hard and be humble. Do not think you have this down. Like, do not be the smartest guy in the room. Be the most humble person in the room. So these are patterns that we have seen work. I'm sharing them with you. The risk is yours. I hope you win. There's so many people afraid to give advice about this. There's so many people that don't share with you the tactical knowledge of what to do properly in a legal battle. And over, men, women, everybody get effed by the system because there are people not giving advice. Okay, so I am sharing with you the experience from dads who won. I hope it can help you win, but it is at your own risk. Definitely consult with attorneys. This is over and over again the advice that I give you. All right, let's go to section 1 of this. The myth of the narcissist. All right, so number 1, for the narcissist, their first battlefield is not court. It is your mind. And already they have infected your mind. And whether you like that or not, you need to understand that you start there. Because if you don't know that, you're going to keep thinking you can outthink or your instinct's going to be right. You need to rewrite all of that. And I'm not saying that to belittle you or misguide you. I'm saying that because you need to stop this disorder. Reality versus illusion in all of this is going to be number 1, the court is not fair. Now, that has nothing to do with her. The court is about procedure, it's about timing, and it's about your composure. At the very end of this, we're going to talk a lot about that composure. Okay, and so the narcissist, their battlefield is psychological. They may have some advantages to start off with in court, but all they are good at is manipulating you and the people around them. They're yes men that are now believing that you're an abuser or a horrible person or whatever the situation is. They are good at manipulation. And if they get past the first couple doors in court, that could really screw you. But the longer and better you learn to play the court game, the better you're going to win it. Okay, so core principle number 1 in this is you don't win by being right. You win by being prepared properly presenting and maintaining your composure. Okay, we're going to get into the details of exactly what that means as best I can in a generalized piece of advice. You also need to understand that the shift of power is when you stop reacting emotionally because you starve her greatest weapon. Her greatest weapon is your reaction. Okay, so I really want you to understand that. This is like one of those things you should go back and repeat and really think about every day. Did I fall into this trap? Okay, am I emotionally reacting? Can I check myself with this? This is really, really important. Okay, so when we get into this, the first rule that we have in the emotional detachment in terms of our survival skill is this, okay? If you think that you will mentally defeat a narcissist, if you think that you can mentally beat them, they've already beaten you. So in family court, we need to emotionally detach. We need to study our case. We need to engage legally, and we need to prepare relentlessly, all right? So this is the first rule of what we have to understand. Our custody case is shrewd, it's cold, it's the law. It's not mean, it's not aggressive in this way where we're trying to hurt somebody. It is without our emotion. Okay, we study the judges, we study the laws, we study how those laws are interpreted by our judge. Okay, we engage legally, we prepare, but we don't get emotional. Now, I know you're thinking that she is won emotionally, right? She's yelled, she's screamed, she's been dramatic, but all of that there is so she doesn't get in trouble and you react. Your reaction does get in trouble. That could be as unfair as you want it to be, right? But you can't fall into that. Okay, so as we explained before, every instinct that you have comes from your relationship with her, where you were her yes man, you were her hero enabler, you were on her team. Now you're not on her team. She is attacking you, she is your enemy. And so that means every instinct and reaction that you do, good or bad, to take the high road or to try and fight back, is programmed in this web of dysfunction. It will make you lose. Okay, so what you need in this to combat this, there's two things. So there's an answer to this, right? All of this, you go like, oh man, there's no answer. I'm going to give up. I'm going to watch all of the videos on how impossible it is to win in family law as a man and give up. I'm going to sit there and say the court system is screwed. First thing you need to do, build dual support systems. Okay? You build one team to help you out therapeutically and another team to help you out legally, and they both conflict. All right? So now in my groups, it gets a little bit more elaborate, right? There's actually 3 teams that you need to build. But your team number 1 is for, let's say, all the legal stuff. We'll start with that. How do you structure it? How do you look through evidence? You think you can look through the evidence, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're going to be poisoned by it. It's going to piss you off more than actually seeing how it fits within court. We're going to get to evidence in detail in this. I forget which module it is, but down here, I'm not going to dive into that just so quick. Maybe it's 6 or 7, but evidence is a, we're going to cover that hardcore. Okay. So your legal team needs to be able to look through evidence, needs to be able to look through timelines, needs to help you organize it, needs to talk to you about what's real, what's not, what witnesses we can organize for this. Now, this could be a lawyer, this could be somebody else, and I recommend both. You get a lawyer team and you get a group of friends that can help you do that. They're not there to tell you to get over it. They're not there to wallow with you. They're not there to feel sorry for you. There's going to be a mix of all those things, but they are there to help you understand your case. They should understand family law. They should help you study the judge. Remember, if you study family law, it does not matter. It matters is if you study family law and go into the courtroom and see how it's applied. I'm sick of getting comments, right? We've solved these problems. Please listen to me, guys. I don't need you to sign up for my courses. I need you to watch these videos and get this. I'm telling you, you do not need to study case law, family law alone You need to study those things in combination with going into family court. I can go right now with an internet connection and find out the schedules for California courtrooms, Texas, like look at Dallas courtrooms, look at Harris County courtrooms in Texas. They are listed there. Might be kind of hard. You might have to fill out a form, but you can go in and watch. You need to see how laws are applied. Now, it's better to watch your judge, but if you can't watch your judge, watch some other ones. Watch a lot. I always say 10 to 15 cases. Man, watch 50. You say you want to do anything for your kids. You say you want to save some money in this. You say you want to save $10,000. If you say you want to be the guy who goes on TikTok that says family court sucks and I'm going to broadcast my descent into the hell of the tortures of man so I can get some likes and finally have friends. If you're saying you want to do that, that's an easy road to take. If you're saying that doesn't sound so good, go watch family court. I hope I'm making sense here. Okay, you can do it. I can go, it's Friday tomorrow. I can go down to the Austin County Courthouse, which is a lot nicer. When I was in family court, it was brutal. It's nice, man. It's beautiful. All right. You watch people walk in and out with their lives getting ruined, and you start studying what the judge decides. Okay. All right. You need your legal team. Your legal team is going to conflict with your therapeutic team. Your therapeutic team is going to help you with who you are, moral integrity. It's going to help with your mental health and all of this. It's going to keep you out of depression. It's going to keep you moving. It's going to help you understand what forgiveness is. In my experience with high conflict custody, forgiveness, happiness, getting over it does not happen quick. Stop thinking it well. You cannot read the Jocko Willink book and get it. You cannot read the Jesus Christ podcast and get it. You can do all of those things. And I think you should do whatever it is that you believe in and see as fit, but get your team around that to help you with this. The moral high ground, moral integrity, learning how to be happy in this, following a spiritual path devoutly is going to dramatically, instantly conflict with the legal road. They don't mix, guys. Two separate teams. Take them seriously. I did. Okay, the last time I went through this, I had two therapists. I don't necessarily recommend having two therapists, but one was a specialized EMDR therapist. A bunch of PTSD stuff came back, and another one really took me to some other awesome places. There are devout paths of spirituality that I follow. See it like it's a huge part of my life. In fact, after this, I have to do some stuff around that. It's going to take an hour or so. I'm going to stay up all night for it. Okay? These things are really important to me, but you can see how intense I am about this, right? Because they're separate. They have to be. They have to be with you guys, okay? You have to understand that, okay? You need to also understand in this that at this point, the person you're in a custody battle with, if it's high conflict, okay, so if it's not high conflict, none of this really applies. If it's high conflict, you're being attacked by somebody with a personality disorder, they're out to screw you over. They've already made their first move to screw you over. They're your enemy. They're not your enemy to hate. You might from day to day, and you might swing back and love them. This is kind of normal. They are your enemy legally. That means if you lose, if they defeat you legally, you will suffer consequences for a long time. If you win legally or are more on the scale of winning, because you never fully win, if you're on that scale of winning, then you don't have to torture them. But more than likely, they're going to torture you. You understand that? Okay, so this is part of the huge moral compass that we have in our groups. This is why we want to win, because we're not trying to be evil fathers. We're trying to defend our kids and ourselves from evil people attacking us, people that are really trying to put us in jail, all right? So you have to understand that they're the enemy. So this brings me to the third part. A narcissist is not a genius. You're giving them way too much credit. They're reactive opportunists, okay? And you are just programmed to fail when you step into their dialogue, when you step into their narrative. Why? Because she made that for you. She made you react this way. You were chosen to react this way. So part of this is to understand what you're up against. Since we do have a legal enemy, not necessarily a moral enemy, maybe there's crossover there, but we need to understand that enemy. So she didn't outsmart you, right? Everybody thinks that narcissists are so intelligent, but I want you to think about this. She didn't outsmart you. She played a game that you didn't know existed. And you didn't realize you were playing that game until you had already lost 1 or 2 catastrophic times. You didn't realize there was a game being played until you saw she wasn't stopping, that there was no makeup, that this was war. This is not outsmarting you. This is tricking you. This is not telling you the rules. But I need you to understand that this isn't about intelligence, okay? So somebody who has a personality disorder, NPD, BPD, crazy, they're an addict, they're an alcoholic, they have whatever issues, they probably have some intelligence. But the thing is they're willing to do something that you're not willing to do. And they started a game that is affecting your life and kids that you had no idea was happening until you started losing and you knew they weren't making up, okay? So a narcissist isn't a genius. They're reactive opportunists. They beat you at a game you didn't know existed until you lost. Once you wake up, you're already behind. And from here forward, you need to learn the strategy. So it is now your turn to learn the rules. This is what you need to understand about your enemy. It's a different game. So let's learn those rules. Okay, so core behaviors of a female narcissist, and this is where it gets a little bit different. And again, if you're a woman watching this to understand being attacked by a male narcissist, try and translate it, but there are some differences, okay? We can't think they're the same. And the reason why is the consequences in court are very, very high. And I'll tell you this, like when a woman loses in court, she loses hard. She loses devastatingly. So in some ways, it's harder to fight than a man. Well, it depends on the case, but it could be hard to win back favor. And I hate to say this, but oftentimes women start out in favor. And so when judges switch on them or they see other judges have had rulings against them, they go, oh man, this woman might be really bad. And with a man, it's like, oh, well, typical violent man. This is normal. That's the judge's first impression. So we have to work with that mentality of whatever the court has. It's not supposed to be biased, but it is, okay? So the female narcissist doesn't fight for power. And she doesn't even fight with power. The female narcissist fights to preserve her identity, her image, and to maintain confusion. I want you to think about that. How many times did this all happen out of confusion? You were forced into reaction. Every single one of your major screw-ups was forced into reaction because there was confusion. This is over and over again in family law. Family law, there's a ton of confusion, okay? So her mechanics, her tools, what she's going to use, there's going to be manipulation, there's going to be heavy emotion, there's going to be constant chaos, constant drama, constant her big problems. There's going to be distortions, right? Like gaslighting. There's also going to be seduction. So it depends on the narcissist, whatever way that she can gain dominance of her life, even if she's a tremendously, obviously insecure person. Like some people hide it and have a big front. Other ones are obviously insecure and you feel sorry for them all the time. They want to dominate the weak to buy into their narrative of whatever it is the obsession with that, okay? So she wins by making you defend yourself instead of see her pattern. Again, think about this. She is going to dominate you in this court case if you don't learn how to do it. By making you react and defend yourself by what she's claiming in a reactive way, not in the right way, rather than see the pattern that is obvious from somebody from the outside, okay? The judge only sees you for 15 minutes, maybe it's 6 hours, but they barely see you. It's not enough to see a pattern. You need to show them that pattern. Okay, she's impulsive. She's arrogant. She is terrified of losing control. All right? She's going to lie compulsively. She's going to lie to test. So how does somebody who has some sort of personality disorder test on who's who? Who's she going to seduce? Who's she going to make feel sorry for? Who's she going to befriend and talk intellectually to? Now, I want you to understand this. In the lie of the narcissist, they don't realize they're lying. You need to also understand this. This is part of your advantage. They don't know they're lying. So they think they're telling the truth. They don't see that it's a web. They think, man, I'm just being nice. I'm talking to, like, if it's a woman and she's fairly attractive, I'm talking to this man in a way that he's going to hear me. You know, and we kind of do that in society. It's just with them, it's refined and skilled, and the outcome is to influence them, right? So essentially to manipulate. So she's also going to talk to somebody who's more meek or timid with dominance and authority. She might talk to another person with gossipy and all these things. We all naturally do this, but with her, it sets up a web where it preserves her dysfunction, maintains her attention, her image, you know, all these different things that come with it. Okay. So she's going to test people when they talk to him, and there's going to be lying in that. She's going to provoke. She's also going to provoke to measure power, to see what pattern is there. And again, this isn't thought through. These were all old. If you really get into our groups with this, when we study it, these are old survival skills that she had from dysfunction or trauma that worked. And then they were empowered by our society. They helped in the corporate world. They helped in things where we could be detached. Okay. So she's going to be obsessed with her image. So her image is defined. Everybody has to see the image that she wants to broadcast to them. Winning for her is not winning this case by how you would perceive winning or losing. Her winning has to do with maintaining her image and making you look bad. And why is that? Why is that? I want you to think about this, because this is going to come into structuring your case to win. Her idea of winning is her image, okay, her narrative, and making you look bad. You want to know why making you look bad is part of it? It's not because she hates you. It's because she's obsessed with herself. If you look bad, it empowers her narrative of why she's acting the way she is. This is what it is across the board with everybody, every single one of your friends. He is crazy, you know, the whole triangulation thing, and then they go and talk to you. I'm not crazy, she's crazy. And then you look crazy, and that empowers her narrative of why she had to do what she had to do. This is it, okay? Now, how's it going to help you? Well, because those attachments, those stories are really important to her, okay? She hates authority. She resists anybody who limits her control. Authority is a big one. It's a big one. All personality disorders. So one of the key differences from male narcissists is male narcissists are going to attack you through dominance and humiliation. Looking good, having authority, humiliating you through that. Okay, a female narcissist is also going to humiliate you, but oftentimes it's sexual. And male, it's sexual too, but it's more through secrets. Okay, what did you share? How were his weird sex habits, ways of assaulting me every night, even though we were married and, you know, have a bunch of kids, and I never complained about it until now. Did you know he thinks this? Did you know if you look at his pornography browser, it says this? He used to say, she used to try and make me do these degrading things. And then she starts crying and saying it was so horrible and all these different things, right? And all of that is the form of the female narcissist. Believe me, she cares about dominance. It's just a different road to it. Very different. And what's interesting is oftentimes, so it depends on if you're in a fault or no fault state. You need to understand this. You need to study what's going on in your court. You need to study different cases. Don't be a slouch on this. But you need to understand that that attack in a no fault state is oftentimes irrelevant. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, your answer should be, yes, I watched porn. Yes, we had, or whatever it is, right? Or no, but don't get dramatic about it. Okay? So a female narcissist is going to attack you through manipulation, a lot through seduction, a lot through the victim or the victim ideas within our culture. So exploiting real female victims. I don't think anybody should be victimized. I don't think women should be victimized. And I really think it's bad, and I think it's terrible that feminism does not come down on the many women who have proven, it's been proven that they lied and exploited real sexual assault, real child abuse, so that they could just not deal with their responsibility. Like that, this is terrible, right? Okay. So both of them lie. Her lies are more emotionally and designed to arrest your clarity, and they're designed to exploit laws that are there to protect females and children who are regularly victimized. And this is why it's so dangerous for men. Okay. There's also a predictable pattern. So a narcissist is not unpredictable by any means. It's just you can't see it because you're in the disease. And so you have to learn the pattern. So if you want to win in a custody battle against a narcissist, you have to start looking at the patterns, the cycles. And so that you can end it for your own personal well-being, but you can also end it for your kids. And this is really who it's going to protect. The best way that you can help her or change her, and so many men say this over and over again, is so that you stop this. You stop it with consequences legally, not your cowboy, I'm going to do this my own way consequences. You stop it through the family court system. You can, okay? So I want to get into this because you have to understand that with dysfunction, it repeats. So this is dysfunction. To have your life blow up, like you thought everything was good, you guys had some problems, but everybody has those. Your friends thought it was all the same, da 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 da. But this is dysfunction. Dysfunction has triggers. Dysfunction has reactions. Dysfunction has similar collapses. She broke from friends. You were the hero enabler that believed in her, and so was the liar that did whatever, and she's attacking them in the same way she's attacking you. She just has more ways to attack you because there's a whole family court that'll listen to her, or cops or CPS workers. And usually in a social circle, it's just friends or courts or whatever, something like that. Okay, so you need to start mapping her behaviors. If you were in my group, what I would have you do, right? So what you'd pay my group to do is, it's worth its weight in gold, but I'm just going to tell you how to do it, is you would have myself, the different therapists, the different people in the group, help you go through the pattern of what happened. And you'd write it out. It's hard. It's a lot of work. It's going to make you feel off. It's going to be painful. You might not want to relive that. It's good to have people around. And you start looking at that pattern. You look at the pattern of what happens. Where does authority piss her off? Where does she use tools of feeling sorry or drama or seduction if she has it? Where does she create chaos bombs? What happens in this? And this is going to be predictable. You can understand how family court's going to go. You can understand a bit about its process. That's going to happen to her. So where's that going to happen? Then we start thinking, like, when we go into understanding the enemy part 3, and the traits that she's going to have, where's she going to lie? Where's she going to need to argue back to authority? What's going to make her quit? We're going to get into that one a little bit later. But if they have certain personality disorders, they will quit. They will not continue after a certain point. They'll eject. You're going to see this pattern over and over again. And then we're going to look at how we have to map that out in court. This is a very difficult thing. This is why in my groups, the minimum buy-in, there's 2 different groups. One is a starter community, but if you go for the big one, the Rising Man, your minimum buy-in is 3 months. And actually, I should probably change it to 6 months because this is what you need. Okay. So you need to look at her pattern because your predictability is the advantage. That's it. That is it. Okay. So I want to get into this part before we get into the real meat here. There's one last thing you have to understand. Labels versus patterns. Okay, so stop diagnosing her, start predicting her. Stop obsessing about NPD and what that is and trying to convince everybody that that's there. Look at the pattern. The pattern will make you win. The diagnosis of whatever is wrong with her is a much harder road legally, but you should do that if you can get it, go for it. But I'm telling you, I know you're watching every NPD expert and you've now exhausted all of your friends telling them about what it is and what you're going through. But You're not there to beat a diagnosis. You're not there to use that as an argument. You're there to dismantle a pattern of her behavior that dismantles her in family court so you can stop it within the cycle of the generational trauma that's being created. Okay, show the difference between therapeutic language and your legal attack, right? Remember at the beginning when I was saying the therapeutic road, your therapeutic team is very different than the legal team. They're both important. They're both necessary for you right now. At least that's what I see in my groups. But you need to work them differently. So every disorder has a pattern. It's there. The point of understanding that this is NPD, BPD, postpartum, toxic behavior, signs of alcoholism, whatever it is, the point of that is to give you a point of reference. Once you're at that point of reference, cool. Now there's kind of like a boundary of where I can look. Let's find the pattern that's specific to them. The only value for you therapeutically and legally. So if you're gonna get through this therapeutically so that you don't have screwed up relationships for the rest of your life, because remember, you were trained, you were made, and you probably have some predisposition towards it, meaning however you were raised led to it. Maybe your mom or dad had some of these leanings, or you've had relationships like this before. I know everybody wants to think that they were just pure victims in this, but part of being a victim is that you were trained that way, okay? So therapeutically, it's real important that you see this pattern, right? And it's not as simple as red flags. That's actually was covered in another video. Please watch it. But red flags are the starting point. They don't really cure anything. It's great information. This stuff is so deep beyond choices, right? So therapeutically, you need to understand the pattern. But legally, you need to understand the pattern. You have to, okay? So every disorder has a pattern. Once you see it, right? If you do what we just talked about in the above section, you can learn to counter it, but you have to see it first, okay? So NPD is your starting map. It's not your prison. You can watch videos on it. If you need to get through the day, cool, but it's kind of running a hamster wheel, all right? You don't want to put walls around that, okay? The labeling doesn't matter. The pattern does. True NPD may not be what you're dealing with, right? There's so many uniquenesses to this. This could just be traits, and it doesn't matter. What matters is the pattern. What matters is what they'll continue to do, okay? You have to look at that. Maybe it's BPD. Maybe there's more self-sabotaging stuff within it. Maybe she's going to blow it all up. You know, it's important to understand these things, but you also need to understand that a judge is not going to diagnose them. It's not there to diagnose. The judge is there to rule on what will be in the best interest of the child, or if there's a divorce, different property aspects, and so on, right? Okay. Now, if it is proven they have BPD, which we're going to get to that here in a second, it's not by you sharing about what you've read in the DSM-5 or what you've studied on YouTube or articles that you've read about it. It is not going to be done in that way. It has to be done in a very specific clinical way. But the pattern of their dysfunction mixed with their traits that you will see in their pattern that they cannot help, which is going to be them lying, getting mad at authority, blowing things up, triangulation, having power plays against you, wanting to look good, showing that they're willing to look good instead of doing what's safe and best for their child over and over again, is something that can absolutely win your case. So that's what we want to look at. And that you have. You already have that. You already have that. You don't need to say they have NPD. All right? Okay? So how we're going to do this is we're going to learn how to fight through litigation. We are going to learn how to structure a courtroom argument that is designed to have them fail, their manipulation fail, their lying fail, their wrongdoings be exposed. This is the meat of all of it. So in section 5 here, first, you're attacked. You're attacked, you're on the back foot, you're getting screwed over because you're playing a game that you didn't know you were playing. until you got attacked multiple times. Now you're going to learn to fight through precision and procedure, not passion. You're going to assume that the system starts off bias, and that's fine. And that really sucks. And I'm sure you're going through a whole bunch of unfairness with this, and that it's terrible and it's unfair. You've never been treated or seen this way. You're probably being called an abuser. There's probably false allegations of physical and sexual abuse. One thing that does not get brought up enough is whenever there's false sex abuse claims against your kids, which is disgusting, she's going to be really detailed about it. I don't understand this, why social workers haven't understood this. Actually, I get why, because they don't talk about it. They don't share the data. They share data of who's convicted and all that, and they use that as their baseline, but they don't share the data of who has lied, of cases that are unfounded for whatever reasons. But in that, there's a whole bunch of lies. The moms are always disturbingly detailed about what happens in the fake, sexual assault of their own children. It's really disgusting, okay? So in this, okay, you're starting off in a biased system. Structure is going to punish her chaos if you do it right. So remember, we got to stop reacting. We got to not be emotional. We got to get clinical. We have to have our legal team be there, sharp with us. Her lies are going to collapse under oath. Her tantrums are going to become contempt, okay? And her image breaks when it's on paper and mapped out. File clean, force answers, let the record do the rest. Okay, I need you to understand this. This isn't about designing something that's going to be evil back. This is taking the system and making her work it, because we're not going to mess it up. We're not going to fall into her traps, and we're going to use it in the right way. So you need to be relentless with the process. Okay, so you were attacked first. The legal system is going to be against you. There's going to be a lot of green lights she's going to get if you're a man in this. But you need to start structuring things properly in the family court. Family court is going to reward its process being followed airtight, and it's going to punish chaos. First, it's going to welcome her chaos, but that's dependent, remember, on what? What is it dependent on? You remember? It was up at, I think, section 2. It's dependent upon your reaction. Okay, so it's dependent on your reaction that is trained by her, because it goes with your instincts, which are exploited and shaped by her. Okay, so how she loses is she cannot control her lies. She's going to lie. She doesn't even know she's lying. Okay? She does not know that she's lying. She's going to contradict herself under oath without you really trying. All you have to do is get those opportunities of things under oath in order for that to happen. That's going to be just step one, all right? She cannot handle authority. As soon as control is taken away from her, this could be the lawyer goes, man, her lawyer goes, man, she's lying to me. This is going to take away control. She's going to then lie and double down more. Okay? She's also going to hide more. Remember how she tests different people? Different people she's going to seduce, different people she's going to manipulate in kindness, in some drama bomb, and losing her mind at the right time, or being strong and powerful and intimidating. All these things are going to be patterns. It's her pattern, man. And with authority, she's going to try and double down on those things. Either run and hide more, fight more, whatever it is. You've already seen it. You already know it. You've lived the pattern. You just can't see it because you're part of the dysfunction. That's why you need your group, right? Okay. When this happens, when authority starts to affect her, she is going to fall into contempt in her meltdown. So contempt of court. It's a big thing, right? So there's going to be motions for contempt that you can file, and there's going to be motions for enforcement that happen over and over again. And it's going to piss off her legal team, because anytime there's a motion for contempt, it's different for every state and county, but it affects the lawyer. She won't be able to sustain her image. So remember that. Sustaining the image is a huge part of this, right? So when exposure happens, now remember, what did I say in the first or second part of this? What is losing to her? Losing to her isn't losing the court case. It's losing control of her image. It's losing her image. The exposure is that. It's not that she lied and I'm exposing the lie. It's that I'm bringing that this person is flawed to her yes man team, just how hard that was for you. Like now you're probably going, Steve, you're being too mean. She's still the mother of my kids. Like there's all these good things that I've seen of her. I'm not telling you to be mean. I'm telling you that you're going to get killed if you don't properly defend yourself in a legal way, in a way that isn't emotional, that isn't about you morally hurting somebody. It's about you truly protecting yourself. Use the law for what it is, right? So when that image is exposed, when it's exposed to other people that she has this narrative going for her, collapse starts to happen, right? So it depends on what it is, NPD, BPD, there's different variations of it, but there's something to that when that exposure happens. So every filing, every hearing, every line on the record is an opportunity, okay? So it's an opportunity for you to get her more of that exposure so that she backs up and she doesn't want to fight. And I get what you're thinking. You got screwed 2 or 3 times. Maybe you have a protective order against you. You have to fight that. This is really hard, right? I have other videos on that to help you out with it. This was what I had. But then you have to learn to fight back. So you can fight from any position. It's going to be significantly harder from certain ones, like protective orders. But you need to start understanding that the more you're in the court, right? The more that you're on equal grounds, we'll say, in the court, and you can follow the process, the more opportunity you have for her to have her own self fail. All the things which should matter, she's going to do more of. And let me just put it this way. All the lying, the cheating, the deception, all the stuff that you're pissed off about, all the disgust, the passing of STs, whatever it is, you are going, man, the court should care. You know why they don't care? Because it's not their language. But you care, and it's horrible. I care for you. The more you get her speaking the court's language, the more quickly it is going to screw up, okay? So how do we do this? How do we deal with this? So part 6 is documentation warfare. That's how we do it. The biggest mistake with false allegations and custody battles with somebody with a personality disorder like NPD or BPD is we fail to organize our evidence properly. Proof is going to beat the pain. Evidence wins. Emotion loses. See, you are tricked into thinking that her emotion is making her win. Her emotion is just in the background and she's not being punished for it. The evidence is what's screwing you. Okay, and if there's no evidence, the initial claim, the filing, the beating you to the punch, the not being first to file, this is what's beating you. And yeah, man, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but your reaction to her being emotional will make you lose. Okay, so most men document with feelings. Most men think evidence is a bunch of text messages and screenshots and emails that they've defined by their friends and family, okay? And it destroys their case. This was wrong because it hurts me and it's not right and it proves she's a liar. What's the case about? Is it about that? You think it's about that, but that means you have not watched Family Court. Go back to square one, watch Family Court, okay? Court doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you can prove in its language, not how you think it is. I get it. You've accomplished some great things. Learn its language. That is your job. Use all your brain power towards that. Order is going to be your weapon. Documentation is your discipline. So let's go into a couple things about evidence that I don't hear many people talk about and you really need to get. Okay, so if there's something you want to flag in this video, it is this. This is something that everybody gets wrong. Okay, evidence needs to work in court. Evidence does not matter unless it empowers a law or a statute that gets ruled on in that court. So you go, man, I read the Constitution. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to unzip my pants and take a piss on the courtroom because, boom, I read the 14th Amendment. No. If that doesn't work in that courtroom, then it fails. I have text messages of her lying over and over again. Is it in the language of the courts? Is it in a way that it's commonly argued? Have you watched at least one, but hopefully 3 or 4 other cases that use that similar form of evidence to make that point, to rule on the one thing that you're trying to get done? Custody, visitation time, decision making, child support, whatever. Like, have you seen it do that? Have you seen it do that? The answer is no. So, oh, you thought it in your head. Wrong. You can't do that. This is what makes you lose. This is what makes you become the dude that becomes famous on social media for losing, and everybody feeling sorry for you, going like, I lost too. Well, guess what? I lost catastrophically. Probably worse. Like, I went to jail for child abuse, was put into solitary confinement, didn't get to see my kids for 5 years. And then 8 years later, it was like, oh, it's a mistake. So I did all of that, did the probation, did all of that. Criminal. This wasn't civil. This wasn't just a protective order. This was really fucked up stuff. And I said, man, how can I learn this? How can I ensure that this never happens again? All right. So I started a group. I talked to a ton of lawyers. I went into family court. I am the dumbest guy. I am not confident. And I just want to say this. I have the only group that I know of that has cases that have won that lawyers go, how is that possible? How did a protective order get terminated? How did you, what? And I didn't really do it, but I helped out a lot with it. They did it. I have all of that. I do not walk into family court confident. I could call attorneys right now that I've sent so many clients to that aren't just in Austin. In fact, they're more in other states. And I could get their advice and say, man, Steve, I'll help you. It's 11:27 p.m. I bet you I could do it. In fact, I'll message one right now. I'll send a nice message. If he doesn't message back, won't that be the irony in this? But I could get them on the phone. I would never be confident. Never be confident. So I don't understand why you would be confident. Because the guys that have won the best cases, I know. And I have a lot of access to a lot of things. Do not be confident in family court. Be the dumbest guy in the room. I am the dumbest guy in the room. So what happens in all of this? So here's the purpose of evidence. I go, man, I am so foolish. Or somebody comes to me and they say, Steve, I got to win my case. I'm losing my family. And I go, okay, let me see what you got. Man, I am so foolish. I'm going to double, triple, quadruple check everything. I'm not just going to go to ChatGPT and Claude and run it through there. I am going to ask my attorney friend. I am going to look at every single venue I can. If they're a local judge, I'm going to try and find that judge. We're going to go, who is your judge and how can we watch them on Zoom? That's what I'm going to do. Why? Because every piece of evidence isn't so that I can have my mom and my friends say, she's a lying bitch. That's not the game, right? That's her game. Her game is gossip. Your game is the courtroom. I'm going to go, how can I go to court? And how can I go, how is this going to make the argument I'm going to make? All right? If I want to show mental instability, how does that argument happen regularly in court? If I have a problem with the Constitution and I want to go into a federal court, I'm going to try and do as much research as possible in that, and they're harder to get into. And I'm going to talk to lawyers who've made those arguments to see how it can be done. And I'm going to get the same message that I got 15 years ago from attorneys saying, well, you know, it's hard, it's complicated, and I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going. And I did so that I can have a group that when guys get protective orders placed upon them, we have a history of saving those things. This is not a guarantee. We also don't save it some of the times, but we're better than attorneys at it. Or we have a better track record. I'll say that. We have a better track record than very, very good family law attorneys. And part of that is we have an international group doing it. We have a lot of people doing it, okay? So I need you to do that. I need you to do that with your evidence. What is the best interest of the child in your court? What is abuse or manipulation in your court? How do you argue that there is addiction or mental instability in your court? And that is it. Your job is not to convince me. It's not to convince anybody else. It is to convince the judge in front of you in the process of how it works. If you can do that, and if you can follow it to a T, she will fail. And if you don't have that argument, because this always happens, it's like, well, she's a narcissist. It's obvious. Okay, can you prove it? Well, I read these articles. There's 100 articles. And my therapist, in 600,000, all the therapists in the world read my case and say she's a narcissist. That is not a diagnosis. Okay, so do you have a diagnosis? Can you get one? No. Okay, so we're off that thread. Well, it's great because if she's a narcissist, there's these repetitious patterns that are not going to stop that she's going to do. And then that's our angle, which is actually much easier than just saying she's a narcissist. Because if we say she's a narcissist, then there has to be a presumption of treatment for it. And anyway, whatever. It's a different argument, okay? So we have to learn how to get all those things in there. All right, so here's what works. You want to prove a mental disorder, there needs to be a pre-existing diagnosis, and that could be argued. Like if I had a pre-existing diagnosis, I would argue it, okay? I could argue it, especially if it's a couple years old, especially if psychology has changed, especially if certain books that expert psychological witnesses reference have been published that say there could be a difference to whatever it is, right? But a psychological evaluation that's court-ordered is more important. So what's the process for that? Well, more than likely you need a custody evaluator or GAL or some third party that is part of the court process that you should know suggests that there's mental instability. And then when you go in for your next hearing, so this is a couple of hearings deep, you would then argue that you want court-ordered psychological evaluations. They work. You want to say she's a narcissist? That's your best bet. It'll cost you a lot of money, $5,000 to maybe $15,000. It's horrible. You have to be interviewed too. Oftentimes the kids are, but that is the boom. That if you want a psychological disorder to give you custody, that's your best thing, okay? Let's go to some much, much easier ways of gathering evidence in the court process that is really hard for somebody who lies a lot, has issues with power, throws tantrums, that is now beating you. Okay, interrogatories. What is that? Written, sworn questions revealing contradictions. So when she writes in and swears under oath, the more you can get that, with the more variations of the story, so I don't know your case, but here's what's probably in there. She has a story about one thing. She has a story about another thing. In the interrogatories, it's all of a story that she's telling the lawyer. And I'm also going to say this, the quicker you do this in your case, the better, because they're confident, they're like ready to kick butt, they think it's going to destroy you and maintain their image. So in the initial interrogatory, it's going to be her script of whatever's awesome about her life and how you suck. It's going to be really sloppy if it's first. If she starts to realize how effed up family court can be, then she's going to pull back a little bit. Okay? Affidavits, witness statements under oath. You get an affidavit, all right? Look it up. If you're going pro se, you can do these things too. Well, most states can, well, you can, right? And the more times she can tell that story, maybe at a different time, maybe it's 6 months. Maybe her attorney has 50 million clients, like every attorney out there. Maybe her attorney is giving her a freebie and not studying her case too much. Maybe she's sleeping with her attorney. That's common too. This has happened. This is very illegal and people can lose their license for that, but it happens. So the interrogatory happens at the beginning. The affidavit happens a month later. Similar things, let's hope they match up. Probably not. Is her attorney going to double check it? Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully. Your discovery, which is when you request different pieces of evidence, records, all these different things from that party, and you properly share your discovery legally, and you're cooperative, even if you think it might hurt you, is going to have a whole bunch of records as well. The more you can do these things, the more you can do them and just rely upon them and understand what to look for. You have your legal team of people that are detached that look through your text messages or whatever. Or if you think there's messages on Instagram that might implicate something, you subpoena those things, whatever it is, right? You have these people organize that. Okay. So this is real simple. Interrogatories, affidavits, discovery. These are the basics. The more that she goes through all of that, the more inconsistent it's going to be. That is it, right? Well, it's not it. There's more. But that is not arguing. It's not that she's an asshole. It's not that she fits the description of Dr. whoever who is a specialist in NPD. It is all of that, because that's going to show the pattern, and there's going to be lies in it. Okay? If she's already lied to throw you under the bus, she's going to lie on that stuff. Okay, if there's finances, if it's a divorce, go heavy on it. Get, all of that. The more that somebody does not follow the process and you are following the process, the more the court will favor you. Once all of that hysterical BS that you've now not reacted to, once that calms down, because it will calm down when you're not reacting in the court and you don't send bad text messages outside of court, you don't cause other problems, then all of this stuff comes through. Okay? That means also you need to clean your side of the street. It's hard. Like, you may have some issues too. But then you get to the awesome stuff. One of the best pieces of evidence in this, and again, like, I brought this up many times, people brush it over and they go, oh man, I watched that video. Yeah, you said this, but I have a better idea. I have a better plan. Okay, maybe you do. I hope you do. I hope you do. Share it with me and I'll help other people understand it, or you can share it yourself. I don't care. Depositions kick ass. If you can do them quick, do them early on in your case when they're confident, and this will be a ton of information. In fact, I'm going to add a caveat because you can only depose once in most states and counties, so you may not want to do it right away. But set this up in your equation. Talk to people about it. Hire an attorney for a consultation to understand how interrogatories, affidavits, how discovery can be used to help show inconsistencies that lose in family court. Remember, we're dealing with high conflict, and we're dealing with somebody with a personality disorder. These things are going to be inconsistent. They're going to be all over the place. Depositions are even better because if you have an attorney, or if you do it yourself, which I would not recommend because it might seem good for you, but you're just too attached and you'll screw it up. You'll get too ego filled in it. But if you got to do it yourself, you got to do it yourself. In depositions, you got hours to have somebody give sworn under oath statements, and they're going to be all over the place. And if you have an attorney that is good, you can understand that there's a whole bunch of facts that they're going to ask about, so much of evidence that they're going to present. And if they understand somebody with BPD or borderline or whatever the issue is, they understand a liar and they know how to expose a liar. Some family law attorneys love this, some don't. Then, they are going to discredit them as a witness. They're probably going to bring up other illegal activity. Something that you should understand. Somebody who is screwing you over and willing to lie under oath has more than likely broken the law. And because you had a relationship with them, you know about those laws. Or maybe they haven't broken the law, but they're tremendously embarrassed about something. But because they don't care about this battle, they don't consider winning in court, they consider winning protecting their image, they're going to lie about their image. They're going to lie about those things. And it's not just like, do you want to be pretty or powerful or whatever? It's that you lied to get your job. So if we called your boss, so we're going to take a break, we're going to call your boss, and don't text your boss or call them to warn them. If we called them and told them that we want to interview them and get your records for the interview and subpoena that, they would be found out that you lied to get your job. No, I didn't do that. I did this. And they'll go down this rabbit hole to defend themselves. And it means nothing in custody, but it's this huge point of lying under oath. And then the attorney might object, well, hey, I'm trying to prove a point about income and whatever, and whatever, to overrule it so when we're in that situation in a deposition, this is going to happen all the time. And these things should be planned and looked at, because you can clearly go through your legal stuff with your legal team and not mix up the therapeutic chaos in that. And again, for the therapy side, which is super important. In fact, in the long term, it's probably the most important, but it's much easier when we can win legally. You're going to go through your stuff with that team too. Okay. So what do we have here? What is going to show our patterns? Evidence that works, evidence that regularly argues points in court. Okay. Those ways of getting that evidence isn't going to be how we convince our friends or rebuttals to their arguments of why we suck. It's going to be tax returns. It's going to be interrogatories. It's going to be bank statements. It's going to be affidavits. And hopefully we can put it all in a deposition. Sworn under oath statements. In all of this, there's going to be inconsistencies. There's also parenting apps and all sorts of different stuff. There's going to be inconsistencies. There's going to be patterns that come up that expose a lie. You're going to get really excited about certain lies, but those lies need to be lies that can be argued in court. So lies have a purpose of basically stating what the truth is that could be the value of a lie. So it could be a lie about, do they do drugs? Did they drive while intoxicated or whatever? How do we prove that this happened or didn't happen? Okay, so there could be lies around that. There could be lies also to discredit them as a witness. So if they're truly discredited, so we've talked about this before, they don't just lie. The court doesn't care if you lie. The court cares if you lie repeatedly about very important things. And then the court also cares if you are, in your way, in your nature, in your disorder, in your dysfunction, that doesn't have a diagnosis yet, but you're a liar. All right? And the court also really cares, because they don't care about authority. If somebody says, wait a minute, you're a liar and you suck, then you're a liar and you disrespect the court. If you can show those, if you lose custody to that, when somebody comes in and directly insults the law, which you can tie in pretty easily. If the person is a liar, if the person does have NPD, they're not so smart to figure this out, right? They probably haven't figured out much in their life other than manipulation. And maybe they have. Maybe they're really good at something. Maybe they're really good at finances, right? But you're giving them too much credit. They will not pass through, if they are a liar, interrogatories, affidavits, depositions, organizing evidence properly in a way that it can work in court. You could easily point out that they are willing, they are gladly, they will love to disrespect the court and be a liar. Put them in front of the courts. You got to do it. It's very difficult. Mentally, I know you want to kick ass in all these ways and you want the secret trick. Doesn't exist, or at least I don't know of it. Okay. So, number 7, discovery and leverage. Okay. So look, you're in a psychological war. So you need to understand the process. The process is what's going to win. The process is going to destroy them. Now, there's a book that's called The Process is the Punishment. The Process of Family Law is the Punishment. And one of my clients was reading it and they were going off on it. And I said, well, wait a minute, if it's the punishment for you, and I get that it is, I'm not trying to be, it was a horrible situation, then why can't it be for who you're fighting against? So how do we do discovery? Discovery is your playbook for your psychological warfare. Remember, custody battle with a narcissist is psychological warfare against you. You are already losing mentally because you're programmed. Well, what I'm telling you is one of the best ways to wage war against them in their psychological battlefield is going to be through discovery. How is she going to tell her stories? How is she going to organize her evidence? How is she going to paint the picture? The more that you can get her to paint the picture in sworn testimony that is before you enter into your hearing through discovery, how you are a bad person, how you're a hateful person, the more she has to tell that over and over again. And again, probably already has happened in CPS, probably already happened with cops. It's worked against you there. But how can you get it to happen more? How can you do that so that you can set up a deposition? All right. So this is a person who, with you, is obsessed with baiting you in to reacting. This is a person who pushes all of your buttons that you can't even see happen. You just know you react to them. That is going to set up a situation of chaos where you care so much that you have to react. Now, you can't help that, right? Do you think she can help herself from doing that? So if she's always trying to push it, what's making her push it? What's going to make her push it is you not reacting. When you're not reacting, she's going to push towards other things. Okay, if she has the opportunity to give discovery in some sort of way where she gets a say to screw you over, man, that's going to be a big one. Okay, now it's also going to piss her off. Now, your goal isn't to piss her off. You got to be careful with this, because when you make somebody mad and they have an advantage, they can win. But when you make somebody mad and you know how they're going to react, you can set it up to be in the right way. Start subpoenaing the people in her social circle. Start getting the CPS reports, which can be difficult. It's a pain in the ass. It sucks. It's really hard. Schools, therapists, all the third parties that matter. Start exposing contradictions, not to her, so you don't text her, hey, F you, I'm winning. Guess what my lawyer did? Don't do any of that. You save it for the courtroom. You save it for discovery. You save it for the submitting of evidence for your hearing. You save it for then, right? And so you start looking at the contradictions in the filings. And what's interesting in all of this is in this, you're going to start to dismantle her team. You know how they always say like narcissists are excellent at triangulation because they're geniuses. Okay, they're reactive people. They've been traumatized. Okay, I'm not saying this to make you feel sorry for them. They don't know they're doing this. This is a reaction to pain that they've had that's driven by huge amounts of fear. Okay, discovery isn't just to defend. It's there to work within the boundaries of the law, and it's going to be a tool for exposure. What's exposure? Exposure isn't like she lied and everybody knows it. That's what she's saying to you. He's a bad person and everybody knows it. You're trying to say, look at what she's doing. Let's involve all these people. And now she's starting to see it. And it's going to terrify her because remember, she doesn't know she's lying. Which brings us to number 8, the courtroom combat. Okay. So in a war with a narcissist, you need to understand where you can win. And it is in the courtroom. At a certain point, your case is going to start to turn. Now, right now, you might not be, it might not be turning. We call this the switch. Like in a lot of my emails, if you are on my email list, if you're not, you should be. But there's dad-to-dad emails that get sent out every day. And they break down a lot of stuff that happens directly within our groups, how people win. They're short, so they don't go in depth, but longer format videos like this go in depth. So at first, you might be losing. Be composed. Follow the process. Let her be hysterical. Answer in the proper way. Always bring it back to order. When you go up to match her, you lose. Okay? For whatever reason that is, it's unfair. Don't do it. Just get over it. If you do that, you're screwing up. Okay, it's very hard. It's easy to do that. You're a human being, but you're screwing up legally. Okay, so composure is your weapon because composure is going to let her emotions go up, and that's going to be her downfall because you're not reacting. What does she do when you don't react? She doubles down. She doubles down in her pattern of being a victim, of being a power player, of being a temptress, of being all the different things. The things that you already know, she's going to double down. You may not be able to see it, but you have the pattern in your memories of your life. Okay? So court isn't chaos. It's not meant to be chaos. It's meant to be order, even though it's not. So don't let your chaos fuel her chaos. because that you lose. Okay, so another way to think about court is it is a theater and the calm man owns the stage. So it's there for you to present. It's not there so that you can get fairness nailed down. It's there so that you can have your 15 minutes, maybe it's 2 hours in front of the judge to make your point. It needs to be artfully done through evidence. Evidence that works, not, Steve, I did everything you said and I had all the evidence and the judge didn't want to see it. Yeah, because you didn't do everything I said. You didn't go to family court to understand what a judge wants to see, your judge wants to see. And if you can't get to see your judge because you're going, man, it's not allowed in my state, I give up. I'm going to join the TikTok rebellion of dads who failed and get attention for it. Here's what you do. You go and talk to family law attorneys who've interacted with that judge, and you ask them, what does this judge like in terms of whatever evidence? Okay. So in courtroom combat, she is going to bait you into emotions. She's going to do what she always does to you. And guess what? Your instinct is what? What is your instinct? It's always wrong because she trained you. You're in a relationship with her. You probably have some predisposition of whatever family trauma that helped that get screwed up. So you don't react to it. Your instinct to do the right thing or to fight back is going to be wrong. You start training with other men who have won this. You can watch my videos, you can join my groups, or you can start your own group and start asking attorneys about what to do. You start acting properly in the courtroom. You don't defend your emotions, you defend your evidence through the process of the court. You talk properly to the judge, you present evidence properly to the judge, you do not default to yelling back even if it's working for her. Okay? Very important. Remember, the judge is not watching your case. It's not watching your case. The judge is watching you and her. The judge is watching you guys, and your composure matters. Okay? All right. So family court, it's a discipline. I don't like being in court. If you watch me in court, I'm not like Mr. Alpha whatever. All I care about is getting out of there. All I care about is getting the government out of my life. That's what I care about in these situations. That's all I care about. I don't care if I look cool or not. I'm probably not going to be confident. Don't care. I want it to work. All right. All the dudes I know. So we just had a guy on the call today. He's winning. He's not won yet, but he has access to his kids. He has like a ton of stuff in his divorce. There's a couple of property things that aren't there. This guy has done stuff pro se, which most people will never wish to do. His case started out as criminal, lots of physical violence, crazy stuff. Judges left his case. And he has a case that most dads would wish for. He's got his kids, man. Okay? In this, I said, you realize that, I said this tonight, you realize that what you did, I don't regularly see men do. And you're feeling, he's stressed out. And then there's other dads who are ultra confident. They know they are going to say it in the right way because they get it, right? They get it, man. I understand how to make a point. I've built businesses. I just need help with this, Steve. This is how they talk to me, right? This is how they talk to other dads who've won bigger than the dad I'm talking about now. And no, I just give me what works. Okay, I'll do my best. I want to help you, man. I want to help you. They don't get wins like this. Why do they not get wins like this? So your confidence is not going to matter so much. What matters is you follow the court's process. You can be a lot within that. And confidence is important. I'm not trying to downgrade that, but if you think because you have ironclad confidence that you got it, man, the family court is made to break you. Okay? So speak to the judge, don't speak to her. Remain factual. Don't get provoked. Do not get provoked. Don't get shaken up. Okay? She's going to she's going to bait you. She's going to claim things. She is going to cause as much chaos as possible based off of emotion, manipulation, and her pattern. And that is her only strategy. Her brilliant genius strategy that worked to get you 2 steps behind, that beat you in a game that you didn't know you were playing until you started losing. That's her strategy. That's it. Okay. Procedure over passion. You need to learn how to file clean motions. You need to learn how to properly object precisely, or hopefully your attorney does, or if you're going in pro se. And every single point needs to empower a statute, needs to empower the law, needs to empower the best interest of the child. Okay, so when dads tell me that the best interest of the child is the key, man, whatever. Man, there's a comment on here. This is AI. I wish I was AI. Then I'd be much smarter. Okay, so number 9, exposure and collapse strategy. Maybe ChatGPT 6 has come out, right? 6, Sora, and I can read the comments and comment back to it. I'm trying not to look at the comments because it screws up the video. And I got to edit this video, man. Come on. Jesus. All right. Take it easy, guys. I should just not read it. Don't read the comments. All right. So exposure and collapse of strategy. This is where we want to get to. All right. So how do we make a narcissist give up? This is the thing that everybody should be paying attention to. And this is the part everybody wants. So if you're jumping to this and you're going like, how does the narcissist give up? Okay, you don't win by shaming her. She wins by trying to shame you and humiliate you, but you don't win by shaming her. You're going to win by exposing the system that protects her. All right? It's really important. And I really want you to understand the previous 8 points to get this. This is really, really key. So a narcissist survives on their circle of believers. They're yes men. Okay, and you get that, right? You get that, but there's a complexity to this. Right? Family court is really, really tough. Personality disorders are possibly more tough. I don't even want to say I have the answer for it, right? But when it comes down to a narcissist, when it comes down to, and not just a narcissist, remember, we got to look at their patterns. That's just our starting point, whatever their assumed diagnosis is. But it doesn't matter for family court unless we can get that psych eval or a previous, recent, hard to argue diagnosis. So within that, we go, man, they have all this triangulation. They have all this plan. What did we also say about their lies? Okay. If I'm AI, what did I say? What did I say, ChatGPT, about their lies? So they don't know they're lying. They don't know what they're fighting. They don't realize that they're testing people. Remember, they're testing people with their, do I manipulate here? Do I seduce here? Do I play power here? They're not seeing any of that, right? Okay. So with their group of people, they don't realize that they're lying to all of them. There's just drama and panic, and then kind of nudging people in these ways. He's this, that. Oh, what are they going to react to? How do I talk to this person? How do I talk to Aunt Sally? How do I talk to Jim and get them to move in these directions that I want out of panic and fear? Okay. One of the biggest contradictions with people that have these dysfunctions is they tell a different story to each person and they don't know it. They don't know it. That's great. That's great for tactic. So if I'm in a custody battle with somebody and I have my legal team that's helping me stay cool, calm, and collected, I have my therapeutic team that's trying to make me not do anything stupid and live a better life and all these different things. Remember, both of those contradict, right? If I have that, I can start going, okay, who are the big players in this? Now, this may not matter so much for the exact argument of the best interest of the child. But again, this exposure is their exposure. It's not our exposure. Like, we're going to let everybody know they lied. Whoa. And then we can post about it, right? This is the exposure that they're going to be terrified about the most, that they don't want to happen. And this is what makes them quit. You smartly, you strategize, not your cowboy stuff, not you alone thinking this. You get a team, right? If you cannot afford my groups, if you have to do it alone, then you do what I did. I started working with people to get a team, not alone. That team goes through each player in this, and you think about how you subpoena them. You involve them in the interrogatories. You get statements from them. You could even depose them, but that gets a little expensive. And you get them on the record. Now, whether or not they're going to testify, they're probably glad to be involved in the gossip. This is another thing too. Like, everybody wants to gossip about divorce and custody, but then they tell you to your face, I'm not going to take sides. But then they get involved in the gossip. Stuff that affects your family, that is affecting your life, they're involving themselves in. It's passing the time. Your tragedy is that to them. It's disgusting. Put them on record. Summons them to court. There's all sorts of ways to get out of it. Most likely, if they're going to testify in court, we're probably not going to get there, but they're not going to be in the room where everybody sees each other, right? They're going to be isolated. That's usually how it works. Depends on the court, right? But they're going to be on the record. Get them on the record. Smartly, with your team, discussed so it works as evidence in your court. But also, the function of this is so that she starts to realize that Aunt Sally and Uncle Jim's story is going to be conflicting to one another, and wait, what? And then our attorney's going to say, wait a minute, I just saw discovery on this. This is not good. Or maybe, actually, this happened in my case, the judge sees it and says, hey, says to my ex, you're about to walk into the court case. I'm going to really talk you into this settlement. And I think it's best for you because they have all this stuff and it's going against with what you're telling me. The judge gave her mercy, right? And I'm like, what? I paid $7,000 to an attorney to set this all up. And like, I wanted it, right? And the judge talked her into a settlement, which failed for us for 9 months. But hey, go figure. And in many ways, it's for the best, right? So what you want is you want to build that triangulation. You build that triangulation against her. So the people that she's using to triangulate you, you use that against her. Guess what happens? Usually attorneys quit. Usually attorneys don't like it when they're going to lose, or they know that their client's going to have contempt charges or contempt motions for contempt against them. Oftentimes, that goes against the attorney too. And this has to be reported. There's some consequence. Most attorneys know that they're going to be in front of that judge multiple times, and now they're about to get embarrassed that they let their lying client come in and embarrass the family justice system. So that's huge. Huge. I just looked at a comment again. Hey, TikTok, what's up? I'm not even looking at YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my script. So it says, how do you watch? How do you know your judge? Man, you got to know this. Dads, you got to know this. And like, I was a bad, stupid dad. This was a long time ago, right? I had to learn it. And now I see so many men lose and so many men win. So how do you know your judge? It says it on your paperwork. If you don't have your paperwork, you go down to the county clerk's office and you say, my name is XYZ, and this is my social security number. Can I have my case file? And it says your judge on there. And then you can say, is family court open to the public? And you can watch your judge. Or you can say, are there Zoom meetings? And you can watch your judge. And if you can't, you watch another judge, but you learn that, okay? All right, where was I? So how do we make this narcissist give up? Man, attack their team that is gossiping against you, their yes men, and get them accountable. Make their gossip about your tragedy and your family have to answer to it. Like, you really think it's funny or great or something that you talk about as my demise? Well, I want to see what's true. I want to see if this affects the best interest of the child. I want to see if there's testimony against this. I want to get it. I want to see what you say, and I want it to be a part of a court record. I want it to be able to be used because it's now a court document in any case that you have in the future. I want to understand that if you lie under oath in a deposition, on the stand, or whatever, and it gets caught, that will exist in a transcript so that, let's say somebody sues you and wants to discredit you as a witness, it can be used against you. I want all of that. Now they can get out of it, but guess what happens when that starts happening? What does a narcissist exist by? And let's not even go with a narcissist. Let's go a dysfunctional person. The person whose pattern you have studied. What does it exist by? It exists by people believing something about them and you failing so that it empowers what people think about them. Their image, right? So if it's me, it's my image is to be maintained and it's obsessed by a few key people that I manipulate. And you, if you're the one being attacked in this, you used to be one of them, but now you suck and you're my enemy. So I'm trying to destroy you so I can convince the rest of the people, my yes men, that I was right for kicking you out. That's the play, man. That's it. Okay? So when the circle starts to see the contradiction, it starts to question her. They start dropping out. Now her case is affecting her circle. Maybe it's her mom, her dad, whatever it is. When she starts to lose power, she will want to quit. She will then want to be like the dads on TikTok who say, I signed away custody of my kids, which is sad. I don't want that to happen. I'm trying to teach you how to make that not happen. I get why you're doing that because you got screwed over by attorneys. That's why I have videos on attorneys. You got screwed over by the system. You didn't understand the laws. You had somebody screw you over. You had a narcissist screw you over. That's why I make these videos. But they would much rather, just think about somebody who wants to protect their narrative. Well, that's a narrative they could fit right in. I went into court. It was unfair. The system is BS. They would be much happier saying that because you dismantled their team. You showed their contradictions, which they don't believe they're doing, their lies, which they don't believe they're doing. You showed a thing where they would be embarrassed and humiliated and they were going to lose. And it depends on the disorder. So if it is a BPD person, they might go in and sabotage it all and F everything up. You know, whatever. I don't want to get into BPD or NPD. You get the pattern. You know what they do. They've already lost a bunch. They are a dysfunctional person. They can't function properly with certain order. They have to rely on manipulation only. That's the pattern. Okay? So your goal isn't revenge here. It's to expose them legally. You want them to quit out of their own mercy, not out of humiliation. You're going to do that by either exposing them as liars in a case that they cannot win, that's going to embarrass them in front of an authority figure. In front of that authority figure, they're not going to win. And they see that as humiliation when it's just, you can't lie. That's really what you're showing. Or you expose their circle. You get their circle to understand what's going on. Okay? You enabling her, you feeling sorry for her, is part of your dysfunction. You don't need to find joy out of her downfall. I know you might be feeling that as a normal response to it, but that's not going to make you happy in the end. But you need to understand that you were made to give her breaks. You were made to care. Caring is good. It's a good thing, but your caring was used against you. Okay? So let's get into, well, let's finish up this with this. You need to start understanding that forced repetition under oath is one of your biggest weapons of gathering evidence. This is what's going to stop it. And I know that at this point you're going like, man, this is overwhelming. It was for me. It was for every guy in my group who's won. It was for the guys in my group who had their kids kidnapped, who to other countries. It was for guys who had protective orders and got them terminated, permanent protective orders terminated. Look up how rare that is. It was for guys who got their protective orders dismissed when they were temporary. It was for guys who were parentally alienated. The process is horrible. Learn how to play it so you can win it. Because you're going to have to. And if your case gets done with 2 or 3 hearings, that's awesome. That's great. But this will infinitely help you get there, in my opinion, right? All right, so the last part of this is the 10th part, the end game, right? What happens if we can pull this off? What happens if we can win? When you dominate in your custody battle, it's not that you won a hearing or even you won a trial. To really win, first is to get fair custody, visitation, child support, alimony, whatever it is you want, full, da, da, da. It's not to destroy the other person. You need to get past this, right? This is a big thing for me. Like, if we're going to be wise as men to right the wrongs of a biased family court system, we can't let our pain define it. We want what's fair. We want fairness first, because that's what's important. We don't need to destroy something or whatever to it. That causes pain to kids. If you ever truly have your kids alienated from you, like me, for 5 years, you will see that caused me a lot of pain, but nothing compared to my kids. Okay? So to dominate, to truly win, means to set things back to order in the long term. If somebody has a personality disorder, they need to be stopped. You stop them legally, definitively, so that they never want to go back to court. They can cause whatever problems with family and friends, but CPS, they're going to lose. You're going to prove they're a liar. You made your point. DCFS, friends of the court, GALs, you get them to lose. And you usually start off losing, and they start off winning. You learn to do that. And you can. Okay? Going to hearings, filing protective orders, you make this hard for them. They can't win. They are made what they are. You're not making them liars. You're presenting your case properly. This is one of the most important things to dominating. Okay, dominating means that you are able to get a long-term result in this, to keep it out of the courts, keep the government out of your life, out of your parenting. Okay, so the hearing may end, the war doesn't end, but the real win in this is to get them to never want to go to court again, and to keep a clean slate with anything that could end up in court. Okay? So this is huge. You want that. Another thing that I'll say within this is that you need to understand the whole process of it. So what are all the variables in family court? What does appealing look like? This happens. There's guys in my group who've had to appeal. Man, that's crazy. One of the legal assistants in our group won pro se an appeal, which is very, very difficult. You need to look, if you go through this and you do everything that I'm saying, you're going to be hardcore with documenting. You're going to know how to document. You're not just going to have your Talking Parents app and go, well, this says this. And under this statute that I found selectively, but have never seen argued in court, is going to work. You're going to stop saying that. You're going to know how it works. You're going to know how to file motions, right? So here's the thing, guys. This whole thing is a war. And as I said, it's going to change you. I've had the longest running, largest group of men that I've dedicated my life to. It's really hard. I watch people suffer, die, end up in prison. Just emailed a guy in prison today, working with attorneys to help him with his appeal. This comes from hard stuff. This comes from hard stuff and men who have failed. Men who have failed and lost their kids. I have failed and lost my kids. Learned how to get them. Taught other men how to get them. Through a long history of people putting everything on the line to get this. And as I was told the other day by an attorney, that I chose the hardest niche to figure out. I don't want to say I figured it out. This is not a guarantee for any of you. This comes from dads. Some of the guys in our group are lawyers, but we don't act that way. We act as dads. We're dads. We can't give you legal advice. But we're dads that put everything on the line. And many of us lost and stood with men who lost. And don't stop standing with men who have lost. And that's how we got our wins. That's how we have a group of men that win. Now, every dad tells me they're going to change the laws. They're going to do anything for their kids. They're going to start a men's group. They're going to give everything away for free. I don't see people doing that. I charge for my services and then I give everything away for free. I run a men's group that causes so much stress and pain and seeing fucked up shit. And every man tells me they're going to do that. There's like a million guys that say that a year, that say they're going to change the laws. There's one Robert Garza. And there's 1,000 guys with petitions and a million dudes who make a promise and don't fulfill it. This is my job. My job is to do what's good. So I've given back a lot. I'm asking you to do a lot. And I'm asking you to support it, man. Like, go to my channels, support it, get it in the algorithm. My whole YouTube thing is like, it's been suppressed for whatever years. The red pill never helped me. The manosphere never helped me. There's more shit talking for my business and what I have done. And if you're on my high conflict custody 30 and 30, you know how good it is. Nobody's doing that. Like, I really do this to help people. So go out and do some service with it. I really ask you to do it. I know very few people who have coached as long as me, and they do exist. There's people that have existed longer, but they're rare, man. Man, I've put it on the line for you guys all the time. Respect it. Because there's not many people standing up for what you do. There are not. And help those people out. Your goal in here might just be to have a custody case, win it, get out of it, never think of it again. I hope that's the case. But I don't stop there, man. And the guys in my group don't stop there. I brought up Josh Davis, who gave me this awesome cup. Look, this is for my kids' school on it. And man, that school's, they're not nice people. But anyway, that guy, Josh, gives so much for it. You want to understand how to find a family law attorney? Buy his book. It's awesome. It's one of the best deals in town. In time, I will make a video lesson plan for that book. Do you want some help? Join one of my more than affordable communities, the lower tier one. Get my free stuff, right? Josh Powlis, an amazing guy, also in our groups. Another legal assistant, or he helps out massively with people. It's one of the hardest cases. And what does he do? He puts it on the line. So I hear a lot of people talk about helping out, a lot of people who say they want to change something. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't worry about that, but respect where it comes from. And the thing that you need to focus on is winning your case. That's it. That's the thing that's going to change things the most. All right. I'm going to stop this now. I'll answer some questions. And hey, how's that for my AI avatar? It's one of those things, like, I get that you're just watching online and you get to make shitty comments. But come on, man. I spend my Thursday night oftentimes waiting for my kids to go to sleep to do live streams for you guys that give away really useful free stuff that comes from, like, nobody else. So like, I wish there were other winners, and there are, right? But anybody who wins their court case doesn't really put it out there. Like, I do that, and then you get a bunch of dudes who talk shit. Okay. How can I create a local support group? Okay. Man, this is an excellent question. I want you to do it. So way back when, I'll give you the short version. Local support group, here's what you need. You need events, you need regular meetups, you need some form of leadership. Your leadership does not need to be some crazy alpha shit, okay? Your leadership needs to have consistency of a container. And there's all different ways to have a group. But have a movie night once a week. Have a fire, study a book. But consistent events and some sort of consistent meeting and interaction. Here's what I know about running groups of men. So this is the longer story. Okay. So I started working with guys about issues with masculinity. Tomorrow's presentation or whatever is more about that. It's a good one, man. It's very different than this one though. But I started working with men on that. And I realized no matter what the group, okay, so you could have like a super religious group. What are you going to talk about? You get guys together, what do they talk about? They talk about health, making money, purpose, women, sex, relationships, something about women and relationships, right? Whenever you get a group of men together, no matter what their background, those are going to be topics of what you have. So start studying books on those things. Now, I get it. There's a ton of YouTube channels on that. You could follow YouTube channels on that. There's all sorts of stuff that you could have within that. And you should. It's great. But worry about that. Don't worry about the leadership thing. Like, let's put some math or whatever you want down there. What's like the coolest men's group that you know of? And they're like awesome shit. And they have all the awesome stuff. And you go, man, Jordan Peterson came down and gave a talk. And you got to listen to this guy. This is what people have always said to me. And here's what I know. I've had a men's group since 2009 online. They didn't really exist. We have never missed a call. So let me rephrase that. Every week since 2009, every single week, 52 weeks in a year, 2009 was X amount of years ago. You do the math, right? Okay, so every week we've had at least a call. Since 2013, so 12 years ago, every week we've had more than 20 hours of calls. In my group, we started out with talking about very singular issues. It was basically dating, jujitsu, gardening, woodworking. This is like what we talked about, right? And then guys had problems with their custody cases. Let's figure this out. Oh, I have a problem with that. Let's figure this out. This is what I don't see happening. So I've worked in this industry with men for a long time. I know coaches that are excellent coaches. When it came to a drug addict, they were like, sorry, not my problem. And I understand that. But what I started to see is there were obvious problems that kept coming. Depression, forms of PTSD, denials of male trauma, labeling of toxic masculinity, all sorts of different things. Men having issues with sex, denial of abuse, different phenomenons that just kept happening. And then I saw the red pill explode. And it was just these arrogant dudes, right? And this goes for anything. Like, it's not just them. I just say them because they were the last big popular movement. I see men's movements come and they're so self-promoting. And I've usually been a part of them and just been like, hey guys, this is happening. And they're like, this isn't the dude on steroids or whatever. And it was just so weird. Like, before fighting was cool, I was into fighting. Like when I started doing jujitsu, it wasn't, there were 2 gyms in Austin, right? And the people that I knew that got me into it was before there were any gyms in the US, right? And you had to drive all around and whatever to get it. So it's like, what's popular about being a man is like this weird broadcast. Just help people. Men have like a ton of problems, and the sensationalism is not helping them. So that's my long-winded thing that you'll probably hear about on tomorrow night's broadcast. And there's a lot to it. It's horrible. You think the reason why there's a problem in family courts is just because of liberal assholes or feminists or whatever? Like, dude, it's way bigger than that. It's way bigger. It's way bigger that men could be manipulated how they are by women and how women are manipulated by men. It's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than why everybody thinks. And in the dissonance of what's right and wrong is like, the solution is so fucked. So, how do I create a support group for moms? Man, start meeting. Start meeting. Again, same thing. Have events, get popular books to read and study them, but dedicate yourself to the service of what you're talking to. Find the solution. You know how many guys are talking about the solution of family law? And some of them have solutions, men or women. There's tons, right? There's not enough, actually, of real solutions. But dude, like dedicate yourself to the solution. Like it did not take me long. This is hard, right? I don't want to say it's some easy thing, but I don't understand why I'm unique in this. You look at 10 cases, like if you're helping people, you're going to look at 10 family law cases. And you see this pattern of, let's say, NPD or false allegations or whatever. You see it, right? You start to see it. Maybe I have some advantages, right? And, that's a fair argument. But why aren't all those people who are like, let me break it down in 10 seconds how you deal with a narcissist. Here's what you say, mic drop, fuck you, sign up my whatever bullshit, right? Dude, I'm always really helping people. And then I try and figure out how to make videos to keep my business afloat so I can eat and feed my kids and do this, right? So that I can do it and make it bigger and hire attorneys or do what I've done. Hire therapists every week to talk to the guys, hire legal assistants to talk to the guys. That's what I put it all into, right? You see a pattern. Like maybe it's 50 cases, but in 50 cases that have to do with false allegations, like why didn't anybody in the red pill do that? Why didn't anybody in the manosphere do that? They're always stating the problems with men, but nobody did it. Dedicate yourself to the solution. Find it. You can find it. This is not impossible. So when my buddy told me, who's an attorney, a couple days ago, you picked the most complicated and difficult niche. No, I didn't. Nobody looked at it and everybody accepted the anthem that you have to lose. I lost tragically, and I hate that. And just because I've won doesn't amend that. But I won, and I want to tell guys, you don't have to lose. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. Come on. So that's an important thing. Here's what helps circle the wagon. The narcissist tells everybody something different. Yeah, dude, the narcissist tells everybody something different. Everybody. Subpoena them. Get it under oath. Get her under oath. Get them under oath. Get them to make a statement. And it may not matter in family court, but that embarrassment. And it's not really embarrassment because it's not about that. It could be embarrassment for the attorney. It could be embarrassment for the judge. Maybe they don't even care about it. But this sort of discomfort, you're wrecking their control, is one of the things to make them stop. And they need to be stopped. Bruh. With the state of the US, do you expect the rise of more narcissistic behavior and from regular people? I've always thought that. Dude, I just went through my YouTube channel and I deleted a bunch of videos and I found a video from 2012, I think, maybe it's 13, from me and Ryan Jakovic. Try and say that name. In fact, that's part of the joke of the podcast. You should watch the podcast because in that we talk about how our culture empowers sociopathic behavior and it's going to create more. And we also probably talk about a bunch of useless stuff and you're trying stuff out, right? And even then, I'd been coaching 6 or 7 years, working with people 6 years. Well, it depends if it's 2012 or 2013. So the thing was that I've always thought that the state of the U.S., the state of our culture, man, we reward get something for nothing. We reward be popular. We reward, you don't have to learn to be right or find the truth or anything virtuous or any of that stuff. You need to learn how to win an online argument. You need to learn how to make your point and end it. It doesn't matter about wisdom in anything. So because of that, We have all these opportunities for that to happen. When you look at the theories of what NPD or how it is created, it's not because somebody just wanted to be evil. Somebody had problems, fears, big issues, real bad stuff happened to them. And they had a survival mechanism that was rewarded and good, and it worked. It allowed them to fight, hide, be powerful, be smart, use their brain in some of the best ways. Their first time of problem solving a complicated situation, and it worked as a kid with a screaming mom and dad or whatever the situation is to get them out of danger. And then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, early 20s, 30s, it's rewarded because we can get something for nothing. And so we have a ton of it. So tomorrow and maybe the next day, there will be a couple presentations on these things that I have with men's development that you might not like. And I'll probably put them on a different YouTube channel. But I'll live stream them. They'll be recorded here. And in that, I mean, our culture is pretty screwed up. And it is, which doesn't mean we go, hey man, F it, like the court system, F it. It means that we have to go, this is where our starting place is, and there's a real problem, there's consistent problems, and we're going to keep having them. And how do we solve them? And again, I care about the solution for men. I'm not saying I have all of them. I'm just saying I've done it for a long time, and I have a pretty clean record. You can't say I didn't do that. I've failed. I've done a bunch of things wrong. But I kind of think this sucks in a world of coaching where everybody says they're the best. Dude, nobody's done what I've done. Like this guy that just kept going and wanted to find solutions for people that had real problems. So I don't want to make you feel good and go, I could win my custody case and then lose. I want you to really win it, which takes a lot of dedication. When it comes to working with addicts, that's hard. That's worse. Most of the deaths come from addicts or the people that I've worked with. So that's like this dedication to a solution, but that's what I care about, right? Like I got to have a business and all this sort of stuff, but I don't see people do that. Like I see people have a podcast and all this sort of shit, which I've tried to do, man. And, technically this is kind of it, right? And man, they've never watched somebody die. I don't want to say that that's good, but that really sucks. That really puts things in perspective. What am I doing? So when a guy hires me, if you hire me, you might be, okay, this is a transaction, Steve, let's do this. It's not how I see it. I say, okay, there's got to be a boundary. If you're not ready to work, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you're ready to work, you're ready to work, you're ready to work. Okay. I got to stay alive. I have to get some payment. But how can I help you for real? I've done this for a long time, so I can see that there might be a bigger problem. You want to go there or not? That's a hard thing. And I don't understand how in the thousands of coaches that I know, and there's some good ones, right? Like that's really rare to see somebody with dedication. Like why? Man, there's people saying, how do I start a men's group? How do I start a women's group? I just do that, man. That's what we need. Fuck. When during the red pill, I was living here. I've lived here 11, maybe 12 years. So people are like, where are all the good men? You have to go find them. Dude, my neighbor's a good man. My neighbor's one of the best dudes, proven himself in real time of that. My neighbor got sick. And it's not, I don't want to talk about it too much, but great guy. He got sick and his partner said, well, they were panicked about something. They said, hey, dude, that dude has done a lot. That dude's done a lot. He needs help. I'll help him. That dude put it on the line. Because I remember when the red pill was really big, they were like, where are all the good men? Dude, that guy. I could go and look. We're just not looking for good men. They exist. They're harder to find. But we're looking at the fake product, what's selling masculinity and femininity to a starved population of men and women. And all you need is to help people to really get it. There's more stuff too, but like you don't need to win a fucking fight, go to war, whatever. You need to be in the human experience. There's so much value to it. Diagnosis is difficult for NPD. I brought this up in here. How do you diagnose NPD? And actually, this guy, man, John, props. You made some good comments. This is good shit. So he's right. It's hard to diagnose in court, and it's not really showing the accounts of NPD. It's showing an actual diagnosis. So a court cannot diagnose somebody. And as you hear in my presentation, which was way too long, I should stop it now. So it probably got lost in the mix and will have to be heavily edited to be digestible. But you don't need to diagnose NPD. If there is a personality disorder or NPD, you want to show the pattern of it because the pattern is going to expose lies and problems with authority and arguing and acting out of conduct in court. And that's going to help you win your case more than showing NPD. NPD would not be an argument to get custody. However, if you did get a psychological evaluation, which needs to be court ordered, so that means you need to have a GAL or a friend of the court or a custody evaluator or whatever, court-appointed therapist, realize there's a problem, state there's a problem, and make an argument to the court for a custody evaluation. But the custody evaluation, or I'm sorry, the psychological evaluation, it's too late. You'd have to get that court ordered. There'd have to be reason for it. So there's a process to that. But then if you do get the psych eval, it's going to take you 3 months, 6 months, because everybody's going to try and avoid it. You'd have to take it. And then they have to get done with their report. And when that report is done, it can suggest or give a diagnosis. And that would be the best diagnosis. So a pre-existing diagnosis, cool. But the pre-existing diagnosis also may not work because it could be argued. Psych eval is the best. It's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. But if your court case is going to take a lot of time and you can start out with that, use it and you can afford it, man, it is a good piece of evidence because then you can say there is NPD and then you'd have to, and somebody can have NPD and raise kids. That's not the problem. Are they getting treatment and therapy for it? Or is this pattern of NPD affecting the kids? And then you make that argument. So I think there's a lot more with somebody who's regularly going to lie, have power struggles, going to triangulate, get something for nothing, cheat the system. They're going to have this pattern within them. If you learn how to use the system, which was the point of this presentation, you can set that up way better. If you want to know how to do that, man, go to YouTube and watch this live stream because it'll be live, right? Or there's a ton of other videos that I have for you. And get my free stuff, man. Get on my free email list. It's broken down every day. We send stuff out that's helpful for it. That's easy to read and easier to follow. And then there's more complicated things like this. Dudes, I'm out of here. Good knowing you guys. I really like some of these comments. And obviously I'm a sensitive man. So some of the comments I didn't like. YouTube, I didn't even get to you, man. But hopefully you said nice things. Because like I said, I'm a sensitive man that I love Steve's take on this. Man, this is good. Steve, you are retarded and talk too much. Okay, man, I can't take it. That was a joke. But, so awesome. Wow. YouTube, you pulled through tonight, man. You pulled through. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Thank you, guys. Question. What's the difference of doing wrong and being wrong? Okay. Evidence is your voice in the courts and to be involved with your child's day-to-day, even if it's distant. Expose them with evidence, not emotions. Very true. Attorneys resign due to lack of evidence on the behalf of the narcissist. False accusations. Man, every time I request discovery with specific documents, with targets, which that targets her fraudulent claims. I always go to the OP to sign to my offer in stipulation. This is good stuff. Download it on my desktop laptop. Okay, so what's the difference? Man, YouTube, you guys, thank you. Good stuff. Okay, what's the difference between the difference of doing wrong and being wrong? Man, why you gotta ask tough questions? But you said so many nice things to me. I have to respect it. So major, major respect. So doing wrong can create an action. And then how is that argued in court? And again, like with legal stuff, I can't give you legal advice, so I'm not really sure what the situation is. I just tell you what people in my group have done. And actually, I think this guy is in my group from remembering the different YouTube handles or whatever. But doing wrong can get you in trouble because doing wrong is an action, and actions have weight in court. But also, if you do something wrong, how do you get forgiveness in court? What and you got to know your judge, right? So let's say if I do something wrong all the time. Like I go to court and something comes up. And my play in this is one, you talk to an attorney, you understand the consequences, you understand, what could happen in you doing something wrong or missing something. You understand that as best as possible and you do your due diligence. But if I'm in that pickle, I say, man, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. It was not right. I get caught up in this. Maybe it's a bad habit. Maybe I don't look at things properly. This has come up before, whatever it is, right? I just admit it. I don't try and argue it. I don't try and sell it. Now, it depends on what it is. Sometimes that may not be worth it. Now, being wrong can be bad when that comes into strategy. So I'm not really sure of exactly what it is you're meaning, but look at this, man. It's where the legends begin. Join the group. See, he's saying join the group. But so being wrong about strategy, being wrong about an idea of something. If it's about a strategy that you implement something towards, which many dads do, they go, man, I got this right. I got all this evidence, but go watch the evidence part of this. It doesn't mean anything. Like it's not arguing anything properly. That's a big wrong. You effed up. But being wrong, like in the sense of like, I didn't know I was supposed to pick up my kids at this time, or, doing this at school pickups, or doing this with whatever, with homework, or not studying, or whatever. Man, there's so many situations of that. Then it's like, I didn't know and I was wrong. Okay. So I think the action of doing wrong is different than thinking or maybe being wrong in a thought or a situation. So it's hard to get exactly what you mean, baby. But yeah, listen to him. Listen to him on YouTube. Join the group. It's how legends are made. If it is who I think it is, dude, this guy's won some crazy shit, man. Like, if it is who I think it is, 3 states, his custody case went all over, and false accusations, lots of stuff involved. Got custody, has the majority of custody, and is kicking ass. That's some tough stuff. All right. It is. You should have been on the call earlier tonight, man. I'm glad you're awake. We're night owls. We got to hang out sometime. But the call, there was some funny stuff that you and I like to talk about. Hey, dudes, I got to go. Thank you so much. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'll put up some videos on what it'll be about. It's about guy stuff and guy problems and helping them out, which has been my job. And some of the things that I see about it from a long, long history of helping men all the way through the line on really tough stuff that a lot of society turns its back on. And it'll be a good one. All right. Much appreciated, guys. I am out. Later. Deuces.